to our journey, we're breaking down the walls. Faith leads the way while the catch softly calls. Mental health's the key, let's unlock what we feel. Together we rise, this community's real. Join the conversation, let your voice be heard. Face, money, mental health, let's talk it right. Building up our spirits, we'll shine so bright. Gather all together in this space we embrace. Love, knowledge, and growth, let's make it our place. In a world full of noise, we'll find the rhythm and beat. Talking faith and finances, let's dance to our own street. Empowering each other, it's a beautiful art. From struggles to strength, we're healing the heart. Grab your cup of coffee, it's time to unwind. Faith, money, mental health, let's talk it right. Building up our spirits, we'll shine so bright. Gather all together in this space we embrace. Learn knowledge and growth, let's make it our place. So tune in with us, let the journey unfold. With faith, money, and mental health, our stories told.
It's gonna be really good. You're gonna like it. So guys, how's your week been? How's your week been? It's been a whole week since the last episode.
Like you said, busy.
Yeah, very.
But productive.
Yeah, very productive.
Yeah,
very productive.
Very, very productive. Anything crazy happened to you guys this week?
Man, it's been such a blur. Honestly, I've been super excited just to get back to the podcast. I'm gonna be honest. But honestly, I don't have anything that really just jumps out at me. Other than I could say something. It's been a lot of challenges this week. Challenges to kind of throw you off your mental focus. And it's tough, man. I think it's important, and I'm just going to share a little bit, that people know the struggles as much as like all the positive mindset that we might put out here. The struggles, and the struggle is real. It does exist, not pretending that it doesn't, but it's how we get through it, yeah, man. So there was a lot of challenges this week, and but still keeping our head up.
Oh yeah, man. Keep that head up. Mark?
It was a good week, a productive week, like you said. I've been busy. I can't really divulge because it's kind of like a secretive thing that Marcus gave me to work on. So I've been putting my nose down, trying to learn that. And hopefully we'll be able to show you guys what I've been working on here in the next couple of weeks, maybe. I'm not sure.
That's cool, man. I'm looking forward to that. So right now you're like a CIA agent. You can't say anything.
I hate the CIA. I'm just joking.
Quite frankly, I think it stands for Chinese Food in America. That's what CIA is. No, that's awesome. And listeners, we're gonna get into some stuff this week. And last week we talked about a lot of the conversation was around term insurance and protection, right? And we shared some stuff about that pyramid structure as far as the 4 levels of where we are, and the system teaches us to invest first. They don't teach us about protection, and we want to look at protection and how do we get there? How do we figure out what you need for protection? And us in the industry would like to look at something as the dime method. And as some people might say, it's the only time you're going to dime yourself out, is the only time. And we look through that debt, that income, mortgage, and education, right? Those 4 main areas. It's where if something happened to you, how much money would need to be left behind for your family to continue on for at least say the next 10 years is what the standard is, what we love to do. If we can set you up with that, that's great. If that's it. I'm there. I'm glad to have that protection in my life. And I believe you guys all have that same nice solid foundation as yourself. And there is something to be said about going outside every day, knowing that if something happened to you, your family's being taken care of. You hear enough in the news every day. I can just remember, man, it was 2 years ago. There was right here in Iowa, like literally 20 minutes down the road, there was a major accident where two sisters, I believe, were traveling with several kids in the car. In fact, they had more kids in the car than seats, unfortunately.
Wow.
And they weren't in car seats or anything. There was a major accident. Everyone in that vehicle died. Every single one of them, both moms, all the kids. And it's if you put yourself in that spot in your head, I can just picture the two fathers, getting that news. Not only did they just lose their spouses, that they just lost all their kids. And it makes me emotional just to think back on that, because that's tough. And to make things worse is in a time like that, the last thing you're thinking about is work, right? The last thing you're thinking about is work. And we have to prepare to be ready for what we don't want to be prepared for, if that makes sense. Like you have to be ready for the unpredictable. And I know that's a very extreme, and I don't want to get the listeners all down today, but I do want anyone listening in to understand that there is reality to life. We are mortal. We are not guaranteed tomorrow. Every breath is a blessing that we have, that we're here. And I would urge people that level of protection is more for your family than it really is for yourself. It's a lot more than just, hey, while you're building up your wealth for retirement, it's making sure that something happens to you now, that your family's taken care of. And that's the first area we want to always look at when we're with clients, because hey, I want every single person listening, I want all you guys here today, I want you guys to get to your 80s, your 90s. I'm hoping I call you one day, Aaron, I'm like, I can't find my false teeth. I lost them. That's that darn dementia you have. Did you check the bathroom? I'm like, I don't even know I had a bathroom. So yeah, it's there's times to laugh and all that. And one thing we're gonna do with you guys today is we're gonna have a little session, the diming out, right? So we're gonna have Aaron and Mark just kind of interact just some real basics, not to go super in detail with it. And hey, if there's something where you hear and it resonates with you, you want to see how can you figure out what your dime looks like to make sure your family's properly protected. We're getting a little bit better with our technology. We will have a link system to where you can go in, schedule some time, just like a 15-minute phone call. Let's just talk, hear what's going on with you, and if it's something where we think we can help you, sure, we'll sit down. There's no charge to sit down with us. We're really just here for education. That's the main thing, and to make sure you're protected. So, are you guys ready to get some dime action on?
Let's go.
And to set the scene for everybody at home, before anyone comes to me for being politically correct, I would like to pretend you guys are characters. I'm sorry to do this to you guys. So, Mark, you are going to be a white guy, which luckily you already are, quite frankly. And what's going to make this fun is we're going to make your wife very Asian, and you will own 2 dogs. You don't have a cat because you're afraid she's going to donate it to the local Chinese restaurant. And it's very scary. And let's see, Aaron. Oh, man. What can I do that won't get me canceled?
It won't get you canceled, but please, I'm horrible. I'm horrible at accents. Please don't make me do no accents.
I won't make you do accents, but for this, I'm just gonna pretend you're Wayne Brady or something. So I'm just messing with you. Everyone, we just like to have fun. Mark, unfortunately, is white. So he will, just like me. we just found out what seasoning was last week from Aaron. Luckily, he shared that with us. We've been having plain chicken. Quite frankly, we thought as long as there was a flame on it, it would taste just fine. So yeah, good times. But hey, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead. Aaron, you take it away. Just have fun with it, and let's teach our listeners about the dime.
All right, no problem, bro. Yeah, definitely. What's up, Mark? How you doing, bro?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. I heard you have a wife and 2 cats.
2 dogs.
Oh, 2 dogs.
No cats.
Oh, okay.
They'd
No
be
cats.
They'd be down at the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah. And for everyone at home, before you come for us, Mark, you might as well be married at this point to to someone who likes to donate your cats to the Chinese restaurant. So
I actually do have a in real life cat, and she loves him. So
okay.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I'm gonna ask you. We'll take the audience through what we call a client experience, right? I'll ask some basic questions to you to help them get an idea of what to think about when they're considering diming themselves out. The only time that they'll tell on themselves, right? So considering that, I understand you have a wife as well.
wife and 2 kids.
Oh, 2 kids. So the dogs kids, or you have kids?
Kids.
Oh, okay. So some people have their pets or their family, and so it's their kids. So okay, kids. Yeah, boy and girl, or 2 boys, 2 girls.
Boy and a girl.
Okay, boy and a girl.
Little Brian.
And for everyone at home, this is just it's essentially a role play. Mark doesn't have kids, at least not yet. It's probably soon though, I would imagine.
If the Lord blesses me.
All right, right on. All right, so I'll explain to you a little bit how this works. What dime is, Mark? Mark, dime is D for debt, I is for income, M is for mortgage if you have one, and then E is for education. That is the dime, right? These are the most important aspects that we have going on in our lives. Some have all 4, some have 2 out of 4, some have 3 out of 4. And that's how we discover insurable need, right? For this example and this role play. So I'm going to go through a couple of things with you. First is, what kind of debt do you have? Hard debt that you pay off. It could be vehicle, it could be
I've got 10,000 in debt.
10,000 in debt. So for the D, we're going to put 10K. All right. And if you don't mind sharing your income, you can be ballpark. You don't have to give me exact numbers, but just in the ballpark of what you make annually.
It's $7,600 a month. So what's that times 12?
I got you. I'll go ahead and get that for you. So $7,600 a month times 12, looking about 91,200. Would that be accurate?
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and put that in. You have about 90. Oh, we'll call it 91. Save you a little bit of money right there. Okay. And Mark, do you have a mortgage?
I've got about 200,000 remaining.
Okay. And how 200,000 remaining, and just for the sake of our conversation, how much time you have left before paying it off? Are you still in a 30-year, 25?
I'd probably say I've been here about 10 years, so probably 20 years left.
20 years left? Okay. Awesome. And then for the children, are you thinking about their education or giving them some options for be able to go further their education in college?
I'd like for them to go to college, but obviously that's their decision if they want to. So
Sure.
Yeah, I have thought about it. I haven't really done anything towards that, but I have thought about it.
Cool. Awesome. It's a great plan. I like the fact that you give them options, right? Because let's be honest, not everyone's cut out for school. But we'll still invest in their education, because that will be something that'll be available for them should they still decide to go to school or pursue some other venture. So we usually run about $100K per child.
School's expensive.
It 100%. So you having 2 children, we'll call that 200K. If you don't mind me asking, Mark, how old are you right now? Or actually, how young are you right now?
I am 35.
Awesome. 35. And when do you plan to retire? You plan to work till you're 70? You're going to do the typical thing everybody else does, 65, 67? What does that look like for you?
I'd say 65 probably
65.
sounds pretty good to me.
Awesome. So we have about 30 years to retirement. Awesome. And quick question. Are you actively putting anything away for your children right now?
So I haven't put anything away specifically for them, but I do save around $1,000 a month.
Awesome. Okay. So you save about 1,000 a month. That's discretionary, like you just saving that, or do you
Yeah,
actually tap into that sometimes?
Just throw it in a savings account for right now.
Awesome. And how much would you say you currently have saved at the moment?
That's pretty tough to say. You know, I do use it from time to time when things come up. I don't know, maybe 5,000.
Awesome. I love, love, love those who value saving. So you said 5K in savings. That's awesome. And just a couple more questions. It's not too intrusive. Do you currently own a trust or will?
I do not.
Do not. Okay. So we'll say no trust or will. And may I ask you, do you place any type of value on a trust and a will? Like, have you ever thought about or considered um, having something in place to let your surviving spouse or children know exactly what's coming to them, or
You
have
know,
or take value in the legal document?
honestly, I know you're supposed to have a will, so I've thought about that. I just haven't gotten around to putting something together. I don't really know too much about trust, so it hasn't really been on my mind.
Awesome. And man, if you don't mind me asking, like, I know you say you thought about it. Why haven't you got around to thinking about it?
Life just gets busy. You know, I got 2 kids running around, 2 dogs. My girlfriend, or well, my girlfriend, my wife is always trying to take my cat to the Chinese restaurant.
I love that. I love that you said your girlfriend. I mean, you should still date her even though she's your wife, right? So
Yeah,
sometimes that role
totally.
play is pretty fun when you treat her like you never met her before, and then you take her on a romantic date and act like you don't know each other, and then see if you still got it, right? If you still pull your wife. So I love the fact
Absolutely.
the reference. Awesome. So what we do here is that we're going to do some simple math to find out what your insurable need is, just as a ballpark, right? Give you in the playing field of what you could be looking at to cover all of that. We're going to take your 10,000 in debt. We're going to add it to the 91,000, which is your income. So that's already 101,000. And then we're going to add your mortgage, the years you have to pay off. So you still have a 200K on the mortgage. So we're going to add that. That brings you to 301K so far. And then we're going to add the education for your children, right? Just to be able to cover that. So that was additional 200K. Your insurable need right now is just a little over $500,000. So, Brian, I don't know how much more further you want me to kind of dive into that part. I think the main was just kind of how we discover what the dime is for the audience
Yeah,
and how we
100%.
go about that process. Is there anything else you want me to kind of go into with
Yeah.
my role play with Mark?
No, you're good. I mean, you got your dime right, and from there, it's you're just figuring out maybe where he's at next, right? Like retirement, right? What you got going for retirement? What does your protection look like? Do you have any current life insurance? For those immediate insurable needs, potentially for your family. So I think it's just now you have the information, right? So now we want to discover what he has going for him. Because like right now, Mark, you say, for example, you had no protection in place, no insurance or anything. You say you're a dual income household, and you have that 1,000 left over every month. But hey, if something happens to you tomorrow, now what kind of shortfall does that leave the family? Where's that? How quickly, for the listeners too, how quickly does it all come tumbling apart if there's no protection in place, and you lose that income? Because I know for my family, when I had asked my wife this a while back, I said, hey, if my income leaves this household, tomorrow, as like kind of the breadwinner of the household, how quickly does everything fall apart? And she's like, almost immediately. And that's like, yeah, it's time for me to make changes. And not just changes, but I need to think bigger, right? It's not just me. It's I need to make sure my wife, my daughter, everything is good. Because if I'm gone, the last thing they're only worrying about the fact that, hey, yeah, they miss me, but they're not going to worry about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things I would go into next with them. Is just, and put it to you this way. You treat them like pretty much treating them like a real client. You're in discovery mode right now, bro. You're in discovery
Yeah.
mode, and the dime really helps us with that.
And it does. And and I went on a very low number as far as the dime goes. We actually help you put away 10 times your income, right? So at 91,000, that's $910,000 on top of what we put together. So I redid the math for you just to show you on the complete coverage side. That's actually like 1.322 million.
Yeah.
And that will cover 10 years of your income. That will
Mhm.
eliminate all of your debt, eliminate the mortgage, and prepare your children for education should anything happen to you. So I didn't want to cut the role play short by only covering 1 year of income.
Yeah.
We normally recommend actually 7 to 10 years of the income, and I went for 10 because 10 is a good number. But not only that, it gives your family time to figure things out, and 10 years of income could help them make some moves in the next 2 to 5
Yeah.
years and still have something left over while they figure
Mhm.
things out. So
I'm a fan of
Um,
10 as well, bro. I really am. And
Yeah, I always use 10 too.
for you guys at home, like say you sit down and maybe you don't have 1,000 a month that you're saving, right? You're like, man, I'm only saving we're only saving 300 of a household, right? Well, you definitely still got to get some savings going, right? We got to get something going for savings. So, you know, uh, investing or whatever the case is that you're going to use to accumulate more cash, you might not be in that spot yet. Because do you have 3 to 6 months of savings, right? Because that's a big one, right? That you'll get to after that protection or any debt management. Pay down debt. Uh, and my brain just, you guys know this, I ADHD myself in a lot of situations. So I had a thought and it flew away a little bit. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you guys, and when it comes back to my head, I'll definitely I'll chime in. But you're doing it the right way. It's just treating it like you would a client. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. You might not have that 100, right? And that 100 might be like, hey, uh, what if you don't have enough to get the full insurable need that you need to cover for protection? What I would say to them is any insurance is better than no insurance when it comes to having something on your life. So I've had clients where I just can't afford, I need $1 million of coverage, but they only have enough to maybe say get 500,000 or whatever. And again, guys, remember, term is the cheapest form of insurance you can get. It's also because it is temporary, right? But when you're in a position to where you can do more, then absolutely let's do more. But you have to have your protection. You have to have your protection. If you don't have your protection, then what are you even doing putting money into other things if it's not going to be able to take care of your family if you're not gone? So take
Yeah.
care. My advice would be take care of the immediate, and then do what you have to do to clean up your money to get more of a surplus so you can start saving, paying down debt, all that good stuff. But hopefully that answered your question.
That's a good segue you did there, Brian. Honestly, it kind of goes back to the foundational pyramid part that we talked about the last podcast.
Not
I was just like, are we all just like, we're all just having a moment looking at each other?
Speaking on the pyramid, when it comes to protection and getting your money right, it takes a weight off of your shoulders knowing that you have your finances in order. Oops, sorry, earbud fell out. It takes a weight off of your shoulders knowing that you have everything together. You've got a budget that you're following. You know what's going where. You have your protection in case something happens to you or say your wife, and you know that things are going to be taken care of because you have all of these things in place.
Yeah. And I think it kind of piggybacks off of the conversation when people say, hey, I have insurance through work. I don't really need that insurance. And I think Brian covered it last time. It's like I forgot the percentage. How much is that percentage? I mean, I don't even think the last time I remember when I was employed at a place that offered life insurance that you can get, I don't recall them really doing more of a dime method with me. They kind of told me how much I can get without needing a medical. And so I just went for the max that they would give me without needing to go medical. And it's a group term insurance. So, or group insurance. So that's as far as I knew about like what I even needed. And having this type of method going on really dives into how and why you need a certain amount.
Yeah, so I've had insurance through past employers where they didn't even give you like a max amount that you could get before you have to have a medical exam. It was just they take your salary or your annual, and you just get a percentage of that. So it's like I
Mhm.
think like the last one that I can remember, it was like I was only allowed to have 150K,
Yeah.
and in protection is protection. So yeah, it's great to have that if that's what's available to you and that's all you can get. Um, but at the same time, that 100, like just in the scenario that we were talking about now, that 150, that's not gonna last my imaginary family very long, and especially in today's world with all the inflation and everything, like it's just not feasible.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, definitely not feasible. And it's undervalued. But again, like you said, having coverage. But here's the other that coin too, and I think sometimes it's a little bit of the explanations I've heard from people or their reasoning for not really needing to own their own insurance. I think they really don't understand is that they're renting it from their company. So once they leave, or if the company closes its doors, or forces you into early retirement or eliminates your position, you're starting from scratch. And here's the problem with that is that maybe you were employed with them for 15 years. Now to go get your own insurance to make sure you keep up at least the coverage that you had, if not actually have a properly done performed for you, you're older now.
It's
So
that
now it's
much
going to
more
cost
expensive.
you, it's that much more expensive. And that's
Mm.
disheartening. I think what we're doing with the podcast is really important to shine some light on that, because that's a real
Yeah.
conversation I've had with clients. So
Mhm.
And that's a majority of the conversations that I have with clients is, oh, I've got insurance through work. All right, well, let's look at that, because there's some things that you need to know about that going forward. And a lot of people don't know or realize, what that insurance is through work.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. To add to that, I have a friend who a few months back, the only insurance that they had was through their employer. And this isn't to scare you guys or anything, but it is for you to really take a look into what you have. Make sure you know what your employer's covering. There's a reason it's so cheap. I'm gonna tell you that there's a reason it's as cheap as it is. Um, and look into owning it versus essentially renting it from your employer. But this person's husband became very sick. He was in his 40s. That's not that old.
Mhm.
That's not that old. So, and you guys listening, I want you guys to visually put yourself in this person's shoes. Their husband was very sick, and it wasn't just like it came out of nowhere. Here's the thing: he was sick for a long period of time, so they even like knew like things like this were coming. But here's the thing: he got to the point he couldn't work anymore. He couldn't work anymore. So what happened? He eventually lost his job. He lost his job. He lost the only insurance coverage he had, which was through his employer. So what did they do at that point? When they knew he had very limited time to live, they went to go get insurance. Well, what's going to happen at that point?
Gonna get denied.
Yeah.
You're not getting insurance. And now it's a widow with a child, taking on all of the financial responsibilities of the household now. He was the breadwinner, right? So when I talked to her, yeah, she's getting by. It's a big struggle. It's a lot of stress, uh, and it lets me know that well, not me know, but like being in this industry, it's a lot more than just, hey, making a commission or whatever the case might be. Like I could care less honestly about that. Obviously, you need to eat at the end of the day, right? You got to have food for your family, but it really comes down to making sure people are protected, because I don't want to see anyone go through that situation. And when I talk to people now, it is an educational topic, right? Hey, let's talk about it, because we talked last time too. Think of all the things we have insurance on and how much we pay for what we have insurance on. And
Yeah.
again, we talked about this in last episode. I could think of, my auto insurance, right? My auto insurance, my wife every month on our cars, say it's like $70 a month, right? And that $70 a month is insuring her to drive essentially a vehicle that say is worth $30,000, right? But yet she has $600,000 of term for that, practically the same price that covers a vehicle, right? That's X amount of money. Now, granted, there's hospital bills you might have to pay for if you get into an accident, whatever the case might be. So it's a lot more than just the cost of the vehicle. But just think about that. The word, hey, if you get a loan, the bank's like, you have to get insurance on it. If you don't have insurance on it, you're in trouble. No one's here being like, you need to have insurance on your life. And I almost wish it was a requirement. I really do. I know it's not, but we talked about cell phones last time. You're going to go ahead and spend $20 a month to put insurance on your phone for a phone that only costs $1,000 or $1,500. So at the end of 2 years, you already paid like half the value of that phone in insurance, which more than likely, you look at it, you're not going to recoup that money. Imagine this. I'm going way off topic, but imagine you had that $400 and you put it into something that was gaining interest for you. Even if it's even just starting it at that point. Hey, you were like, well, everyone thinks like I don't have that much to put away. And I don't want to talk about quite frankly, it's because you drink Starbucks. I think that's really what it comes down to. It's a lot of Starbucks. And if you quite frankly, take away the extra shot of espresso, that's what's getting you. And it's not, it's when we really sit down and we look at it, maybe there is one thing that you can take out to whether it's just to get at least a protection in place. And I don't want to veer from the topic of what you guys were talking about, but sure. Man, when I just think about that, like I have insurance on my phone, I got insurance on my car, I got insurance on my house, that's your house. Say your house is worth, say $200,000, right? $200,000. You potentially to insure that home, right? I think mine's like maybe say $2,000 a year, right? To insure my house. And I think the value, it's a little bit more than that, but not tons, is around like say like $2,000 a year to insure my house, right? So what does that cover? The dwelling to rebuild. Say that builds back a home that's valued at $250,000. I don't know if one of you got a calculator. What's $2,000 divided by 12?
That's $167.
$167. So I've had a client recently who was in her 30s, and I got her $1 million of coverage for less than that. So imagine like I insured someone's life, which to me is priceless, for $1 million coverage for say $100 and some odd dollars, but my house that's only valued at like $250, I'm paying the same amount of insurance for, in a way, this is how my brain thinks, at least, for it's almost like less value of coverage. So I just want people to look at it in a different light. A lot of us, we're ready to pay and insure so many things, but when it comes to our life, they're just like, eh.
I think that's where, we're talking about the dime method, but we also go over budgeting and budgets with our clients as well. And I think, a lot of people are sitting there thinking, well, I don't have the money to, put towards this. But like, do you actually know what you have coming in and what you have going out, what you're spending your money on, what you can cut out that you don't need? A lot of people don't have budgets. And before I started doing this, I absolutely didn't have a budget. But I sat down with someone and it really made me look at what I had going on. And I was like, this is something that I absolutely need to start doing. It's crucial.
You know, Mark, I'm glad you segued into that. And real true story. My wife and I were all right. So my wife and I were going through some separate, but yet we were both separate concerns. Yet we were both thinking about the same thing. I don't know if that really made sense, but we weren't talking to each other about the having an issue or something that was on our mind, which ended up being the same thing. Segueing into budgeting, right? And you know, I have a brother who's phenomenal with budgeting. Like the way this man saves money and does what he does, and he's about 5 years younger than me. It's commendable, right? And I think maybe one day we'll have him on the podcast. He's eager and willing. But just to touch on this conversation. One is communication between partners financially, which is like a tough conversation to have because you don't want to tell the other one what to do or you don't want to expose what you have going on. And it's a vulnerable topic, right?
Mhm.
But I was going through a similar thing, which I'm about to exercise what we were talking about with the debt. You know, seeing what's going on, what's coming in, what's going out. And I did a little bit of investing too, small amounts just into before getting into this space, into stock market, crypto, things like that. And I was trying to look for ways to pay off our debt. Versus prior, kind of prior, but in kind of in the same instance of being in this business and realizing the tools we have, I went total manual on it. And I busted out Excel. I went through my statements. I say, okay, first of all, how much am I making? Let's start there. Boom. Okay, this is what I'm bringing in net monthly. Then I say, okay, what am I paying for? Without going into too much of itemizing all that, but the process was itemizing. I discovered I had about 140 plus dollars in subscriptions
Mm,
that I forgot about.
mm,
Bro, okay, prior to this, you know, I used to do a lot of content creation, making videos. So I'm always looking to different programs I can use to manipulate videos and art, you know, different ways that gave me things I really liked, and I would blend them to make a final product. And some of them I forgot about the trial period, went straight
Yeah.
into billing, right? And if it wasn't for the act of like, let me sit down, let me buckle down and find out where do I have a leak in my system, I would have never discovered that. And here's the thing, like I was able to save myself at least $120 by canceling those subscriptions and knowing that that's coming in every month now, right? Like I didn't just save $120 for the month. I saved that $120 a month every month until I added some other expenditure, right? So, looking at what you have going on, itemizing it. I think Brian, Mark, you know, we talked about giving some type of tangible takeaway for the audience so that they can do some of this for themselves. You have to start somewhere. It's probably not the most robust system that you're looking for if you're really like an Excel person and want to see graphs and all this other stuff. Our goal is to simplify. And when I did that, and then here's the other part, I talked to my wife about it. I said, babe, I need to know what you have going on. How much is our debt annually? And how much of that is hard bills? How much of that is soft, soft bills? And when we got down to how much we owe, it was like, okay, hold on. That's achievable to pay off within 10 to 18 months.
Mhm.
Yet when we don't do that, we're constantly trying to play catch up, which I was just talking to someone else about debt management. I'll end it here. You know, typically people will pay their premium or pay their minimum payment on their credit cards. And then every so often, when they have a little bit more money, they try to throw another large amount at it to bring it down, only to turn around and use it again. So it's like this perpetual cycle of never paying it off, carrying a balance from month to month. And I'm not into talking about that, save that for another conversation, but simply
mm,
just looking at what you have going on and me looking at mine, I was able to develop a plan to pay my debt off. And it's still a working plan because I've acquired some new debt, bought a vehicle, so I have to rearrange my numbers. But I was able to have the exposure of what I had going on and where I had leaks in my system,
Yeah.
where I could plug those in and actually retain more money, which ties back to what you're saying about I don't know if I could afford it. Well, don't know if you can afford most things until you go through your numbers and see if you truly afford it.
Yeah. And man, and I don't want to say like if you can't afford it, right? Say you're like, I just can't afford it. If you can't afford it, uh, genuinely feel that way, that is more of a reason that you need to sit down with a professional to at least start looking at your budget, to get you on that path. And I'm not saying sit down with someone, like you don't have to sit down with us. If you do sit down with us, um, man, we'll take you from the beginning. Remember, we're not getting paid to you're not paying us, right? So if we're sitting down with you and it's really we're just at that point, you got no money. Like what Aaron said, let's find the leaks. If there's any leaks, there might not be leaks. And if there's no leaks, it's like you need to start making more money. Now, what can you do to start making more money, right? But while you were talking, I did a quick search by JD Power. So JD Power says 60% of U.S. households have 4 or more streaming services in the United States, right? Because we're all really going from cable to like streaming, right?
Yeah.
And Aaron, you and I actually, I think we had a phone conversation about this like maybe 2 months ago. And I looked at like, what are the average prices? Right now, the average price is about $69 to $73 a month for all those streaming services in that household. And I get it. If you're at a point to where, say, things are expensive now. I get that things are expensive. Maybe your streaming services, that is your bread and butter. You're like, I don't have anything else. I'm at least going to have this. This is my vice. Absolutely. Don't want to take that away from you. What I would do is be like, how much are you really watching on all of them? Can you, are you at a point? Obviously, if you have kids, right? If you got kids, Disney Plus probably ain't going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Disney Plus isn't going anywhere. But at that point, you're like, well, maybe I have Netflix, right? And I pay because like we do the bundle here. We do the bundle, which is like the Hulu, the Disney, and I think it's like HBO Max. It's like cool. Netflix is just every month they're like, make it more expensive, make it more expensive. Like Netflix is throwing out like extra fees, like they're Oprah. Like you get an extra charge, you get an extra charge. Like they're like this close. I'm like I'm this close to being like you guys aren't really putting anything new out, right? So here's. I think a lot of people, they don't understand like what might be free out there, or there can be good content, right? You get a smart TV now. If you got internet, most people have internet. They come with all these preloaded internet channels on them, right? Go on Amazon, right? I have an HD antenna. I have an HD antenna. I'll watch my sports games on that HD antenna. I'm gonna get the majority of the local games, unless the Chicago Cubs, which I'm a fan of, they did that marquee network. So they're like, you don't get to watch anymore unless, quite frankly, you gotta pay lots of money if you want to watch us. So I don't watch Cubs games anymore as a result of that, because I don't have cable. Mark, you're a Cubs fan. Do you watch Cubs games anymore?
I do not. The marquee network is very expensive as well.
Yeah, it's wild. So if you guys at home, you just look at that data, 4 or more subscriptions per in 60% of the households. $69 to $70 a month. I'm not saying get rid of them all, but maybe look at what you're doing. Be like, are you in a place to where, hey, I'm not even watching these? Go out there. There's things like Tubi, Freevee.
Yep.
These are free. These are free apps that there's ads on there, of course. And man, I mean, you got Netflix that they have an ad base now, right? You could pay like $7-8 a month, and you still got to watch ads. And I'm like, you kidding me? I have I have Amazon Prime, right? And the reason I had Prime was so I didn't have to do ads. And all of a sudden they're like, by the way, you only get no ads now for, like Prime Originals. You got to pay an extra $3 a month if you want no ads. And I'm just like, this is getting ridiculous,
Yep.
What's next? I need a subscription so my car will start, right? Like, I don't get it. It's getting wild. So, okay. So
the car subscriptions are getting kind of crazy too. Yeah. I saw like BMW, if you want to access your heated seats, you've got to pay a subscription now.
You look really cold. It'd be a shame if you didn't pay $5.99 to warm your butt up, right? Yeah, it is getting absolutely wild. So yeah, if you're at home or just you're listening, you're driving, however you're listening to us, you're like, man, I have streaming services. I'm not even using them. Like, maybe it's not insurance. Maybe you're just like, I don't care. I don't want protection. I'm gonna, at least your money's somewhere. making money. Let your money work for you. And I think that's what it comes down to a lot too. Don't waste your money. Look at what you got going on. What if you got double subscriptions? What if you got 2 Netflixes going on? You don't know, and you won't know until you sit down and do a budget. You mentioned too, Aaron, we don't have, not we don't have, if you want a fancy graph that you can like really detail that thing out, man, my wife and I, before I even got into this line of work, we went on Etsy where people that are really good with code and all that just build stuff. We pay $2.99. We have this super fancy budget that we have that does all kinds of cool stuff. So there's plenty of options. So I didn't mean to talk there for so long and take it away from you guys, but that's just some good information here.
I did want to touch one more time on the budget. You guys both kind of mentioned with your debt and building a game plan, and that's in addition to finding the leaks, a budget really helps you build a game plan towards tackling that debt, which is the second rung on that pyramid, debt management. So you're not just seeing what you're spending and what you're saving and stuff like that. You're building a game plan to tackle that debt that you do have. And that, that's helped me tremendously. I took a deep look at all of the debt that I had, and my budget really, put some things into perspective and let me allocate, extra funds that I had, stuff like that, to actually tackling the debt, getting out of it quickly, and then opening up more money.
A great point, Mark. That is big time, and that's the flow. That's the system. I mean, we're not talking about just, and I kind of want to piggyback off what Brian said too. But we're not just like only cutting it out to open up more money, but also be able to, alone, like you want to tackle debt, you want to start hitting the other milestones on the pyramid, right? Eventually leading to investing, if that's what you want to do. But the other part that Brian said, the making your money work for you. I think a lot of people are savvy in knowing that they need to do that, but it's like the method that they're using to do that. Like, I don't like losing, bro. I don't gamble, and nothing to anyone who does gamble, who loves it, enjoys it. Definitely, if that's your advice, do your thing. I don't like losing, bro. I work very hard to make the money that I make, help solve the problems I solve with clients, and then take care of my family. So there's no way, shape, or form am I going to put in anything that's going to lose, right? I value and understand how money works, and money is designed to multiply, to make more of itself. If you take it out of circulation, it becomes less valuable for you. That means if you put it in the mattress, the tin can in your closet, there's no value there. It actually starts to depreciate. It needs to do what it does. I almost want to call it like the fourth element or the fifth element. You got fire, water, earth, and it's like that's just another element that's mysterious in the way that it works. But when we understand the concept that that's what it's designed to do, I like to use an analogy like this: like you take your money and say, "Hey, I want you to go make more friends," and the money says, "Yes, sir," and takes off and goes make more friends. It comes back with more friends and said, "Look, I brought you more friends. So that's wonderful. Great job. Now go out there and go make more friends." Right? Do you want friends falling off? Like who help you with your infrastructure, or do you want to have like more and more friends? So taking a loss in whatever method that you use, personally myself, I'm not into losing. I'm not. So if I could have a way to not lose and still keep growing, that's it for me. As long as it's growing and getting interest, and then in some cases even be able to compound that interest, that's me all the way.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Anyone here like taking big risks?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Depends on the risk.
I don't. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't gamble myself. So,
was there ever a time when you did?
I mean, I go to casino and throw like $40 in the machine, but I'd rather watch a show, to be honest.
So I've never been to a casino to gamble, but you know, from time to time I've bet on, you know, some football games here and there. You know, won a little bit, lost a little bit, and you know, started gaining more losses than wins, and was like, all right, I'm done, I'm out. I'm good.
You guys used to bet and go to casinos, and quite frankly, now the only thing you bet on is Jesus.
Amen, bro. Amen. Always take that sure bet.
That's a sure bet for sure.
You're like, I'll take that one. You know, I know we were talking a little bit on that dime, right? So you know, just going back on that real quick, if you're, you know, we've still been talking about protection and stuff in different ways, but you know, at the end of the day, you know, Mark, say you were you had $1,000 that you were putting away. Let's say that you had no insurance whatsoever, nothing with your employer, and maybe you did, but maybe it's not a lot, maybe it's like $100,000 or whatever. But for simple math, let's just say you didn't, right? And neither you nor your wife were had any coverage. You got kids, you want to make sure they're protected, and say you didn't have any savings, right? So you had no savings, right? So Aaron, in that situation, you know, say he's got no savings, he needs to get up to 3 to 6 months worth of savings, but they also have no protection in place. He's got, you know, that $1,000 surplus. You know, what would you know, as far as showing him, not saying, hey, you have to do this, but what would you recommend just based on that, his current situation? And everyone at home, you might have a different situation. So again, what we do here, a lot of it is education. It's not advice. A lot of it's education. Everyone's going to have a different scenario. So get with your own financial professional and see what best fits you. But also by hearing what we're talking about here today, if you're sitting down with someone, I would hope that they are talking to you about the same things. And if not, maybe get a different professional.
You know, also, you know, this podcast, you can take these things that we're talking about and ask questions to your financial professional. And if they aren't talking about it, you can bring it up yourself.
Yeah, 100%, Mark. That's a great takeaway for the audience. So we definitely want them to do something with the information we share. I also wanted to put a distinction there with financial professionals versus financial advisors. Though a lot of roles may seem similar by nature, we're not the same. And a financial advisor is not really going to know what we do. That's not their world. To answer your question, Brian, if I had a surplus of $1,000 monthly, no savings account, no protection, to be honest with you, bro, I would only try to use about maybe 80% of that, maybe a little less than 80%. So we're talking about $800, because I want them to get in the habit of creating a savings plan, right? You need to have a habit of saving. And if I utilize every bit of that $1,000 surplus, they're not saving anything. That means that if they're not saving anything and emergency hits, they will most likely stop paying for what's setting up for their future or even their protection, to utilize the money that they need for whatever emergency or even seeming to be emergency needs. So the first thing I would do there is obviously discover the most important thing, which is coverage. The second thing I would do is find a way for them to have their money work for them. So we call that a blend, which that means is that I would get them a term to cover at least the home, if I can, depending on how the numbers work out, age, health, right, other factors, and then a permanent solution for them to help them start building up for having at least access to money if they don't really put a lot of stake in just being able to retire, right?
Yeah.
You have a surplus that's building up with cash value, interest growing on your money, and it prepare you for the emergency if need be. But I will walk with them through some of those milestones and see what's really important. That's just kind of a high level, quick answer for you. But truthfully, I will walk them through and say, okay, Mark's example, he has 2 children. Hey, at what age would you be planning on getting them a vehicle? At what age would you help them with their wedding? And if we have enough cash value built up in there, then that's points we can actually pre-plan to have a distribution go out without them having loose access to their money, and then potentially ruin their chance of what is designed to do because they don't have the discipline. So I got to create discipline first. That leftover $200, 250, depends, whatever. That is your savings plan for your immediate emergency, 3 to 6 months. You just got to be diligent and saving. So that's what I would do.
Now, what about, is any of that covering to look at getting them any protection at all as far as
Yeah,
term goes?
the term,
Is that what
the
you're
term.
using that for?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I can give them a blend from that, right? Term is cheaper.
Mhm.
So we can, there's more elements to look at, right? Are they both working? Which I think in this case they are.
Mhm.
So if I got 2 term policies, I at least cover their income for the most time I can, to keep it still within that budget of the 8% of that $1,000. Still put them on a savings plan of 200 or $250 a month to save, because that's surplus. That means they don't need to access that right now. And then a more permanent solution for them, which in my case, if giving them a permanent solution, I'm going to probably throw in an estate plan so they're protected all the way around.
Mhm. So you were, I want to make sure I'm following you. You were having them that 250 was just to kind of get them going with stuff. So you have them just saving 750 left over to go into just a regular savings account until they get like that 3 to 6 months saved up. Is that what you were doing?
The reverse. So
Okay.
I'm utilizing for their policies and their permanent and temporary coverage.
Mhm.
I'm utilizing about 7 to almost 800 of that available monies.
Mhm.
The 200 to 250 goes right into their normal bank savings plan. So if they have an emergency, they can pull from that first, then like lapsing their policy because they need more money.
Yeah. And to everyone, right? It's not a one size fits all. So you might be at home like, well, that seems like maybe not something I want to get into right away. And that would be fine. I would say, hey, you definitely want to get your protections in place, right? So
Hmm.
maybe it's like, it all depends on your health, right? But it's very
Yep.
reasonable to think if you had two people in their 30s, even especially early 20s, you're gonna be really great price.
Hmm.
But say you're in your 30s, at least get those terms in place. If you don't want to start something like Aaron's talking about until you at least have those, few months of actual savings built up, I would completely understand that. But even in like you mentioned, the active savings, a term can almost act in that way too, because it's like, hey, you have a new expense now. Let's make sure you can put the little bit away every month to make sure you're kind of paying
Hmm.
this. So there's definitely different ways to go to it. But to your point
Hmm.
too, if you're structuring what you're talking about properly, if you do need some money, uh, as long as it's structured properly, you can have access to a good portion of your cash rather quickly, to where if you really needed it, you could grab it. So I
And
think
can
it
I
would,
ask?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, Brian.
No,
I want to add something else to that. I mean, honestly, it all comes down, like you said, it's not a one size fit all.
Mhm.
And you would aim for not using 100%, but maybe that's 50%, right?
Yeah,
You're putting it to work for them in protections and then also growing it. But the other part I wanted to say too, and you kind of already mulled over that, is that depends all on that person's situation and what they're
yeah,
trying to do, right? So
yeah.
there's more to
True.
the discovery of the dime method that we didn't
100%.
cover.
100%.
That just to give them a quick
Yeah.
basic to kind of go off of. So
Yeah. Yeah. There could be, again, guys, it's not a one size fits all, because you don't really know until you sit down with the client.
mhm.
Um, 100%. No, I love that. And that's why the scenarios, maybe we could do a wild scenario for people one day, right? We'll do different scenarios. And if you guys like the scenario, let us know. Uh, and if you think we should continue making us be different characters during the scenarios, that might be fun as well. I know I teased with it a little bit, but I do think that would be funny to an extent, right? Let's not have any suggestions that get us canceled. That would that would not be great. But yeah, no, I love it. And another thing we touched on the last episode that I think would be great for our listeners to come back, right? Because for a lot of people out there, there is a lot of, let's just say, there's a toxic culture out there, unfortunately, and then there are the people that there are people out there that do genuinely care about you and where
Mhm.
your family's going. So I would say trust that gut too when you're sitting down with somebody, because anyone that has your best interest at mind, they're not going to mind taking the time to really explain to you in detail, because you want the client to feel comfortable with the direction that they're going. So just something to think about. But yeah, I think it's everything we talked about. It's great information. And it'll be helpful. So my hope to anyone listening today is, what help or what knowledge did you gain, or what things are you thinking about now, maybe that you didn't think about before. And for the our next episode, for the people that are like, because cash value can get confusing. It can be complex to those that, maybe you're just not understanding it. So you're not understanding it to a point where you feel comfortable quite with it yet. There's other avenues that you can take that'll still have the safety, right, of that floor that we can talk to you about. And if you're on a budget too, well, hey, maybe you get the terms. Maybe you don't want to go into cash value life insurance. Maybe you can look at maybe the type of like an annuity or something to help you out with. And I think the next episode we could talk about that working man's annuity, talk about the wealth quest from one of our providers that is out here currently, because I genuinely believe that can help the right family that it's needed for, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a certain amount of money to put something down right now, hey, there's a way to, if you're just putting say $100 away a month into a savings account, let's put that somewhere else so you can start outpacing inflation, right?
And get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the big balls rolling.
when we first learned about that product, I instantly was like, I want to do this for myself.
Yeah.
It was cool. And the 100 is just an example, right? You could do more, of course, but it's great for that person that's really just like, man, I got so much. Maybe they can't afford to properly structure a cash value policy, right? So they do get a term, and then that little bit they have left over goes to something like that, where now your money's growing in it, and it has those safeties. So yeah, if you guys are listening, you want to find out next time, we will put some stuff together, let you guys know about that. But it is Faith, Money, Mental Health. It's not all money, but and protection. But we felt like this is a really good foundation we want to get you guys started with. And man, I shared a video with you guys this morning, and I just want to turn around and kind of share that same video to our listeners, right? So, maybe we'll just go for a few more minutes and then we can cut it, because I'm sure we all want to go to bed at some point in time. Maybe not Aaron, because you're on the West Coast, so it's like only 8:00 for you.
Yeah.
Aaron and I are a little bit out here, but it was the message of like, when you go through something, right? Have it pay you, learn from it, grow from it. So I'm just going to share that message, and we'll just talk about it, right? Let's, we've talked enough about the money. Let's hit some faith. And this is a guy that I really like. And you guys are probably familiar with too, Philip Anthony Mitchell, which if you guys are at home, maybe hopefully you could see the screen somewhat. It's a YouTube short, but I'm just going to share it. So I enjoyed this clip. I know you guys like it, and hopefully you guys listening will like it as well.
Do it.
And away we go.
Things that you have been blessed by. You are.
Hold up. I don't know if you guys can hear an echo, but I can hear an echo.
I didn't hear an echo. I thought it was coming in. I mean, it came in hot. It was the audio was up.
It was up.
Yeah, up. Like it was yelling at me. I'm like, oh, I gotta get better.
You know what? You guys weren't hearing it. I didn't mute my browser, so my headphones were echoing it. All right, I got you guys.
You have been shaped more by the things you survived than by the things that you have been blessed by. You are wiser because of pain. You are smarter because of pain. You are stronger because of pain. The Lord has done more in you through the garden than he has through mountaintops. I'm wired like this because of stuff I have survived in the streets and in the kingdom. And for as much as you be trying to rip those stories out of your life, just check your past. The Lord has done more
in you through what he has crushed you in than just making life feel flowery all the time. It be people, you got everything on the outside, all the trappings of worldly success, and still crushed on the inside. The Lord won't change that yet. Why? He's using that to just keep you just dependent enough to call on him, because he will never create for you a life that makes him unnecessary. You could be wealthy and he'll leave a little insecurity. You could be wealthy, he'll leave a little bit of brokenness. You could be bubbling, he'll leave a little bit of drama. He'll leave just enough in your life to make you realize you can't do this on your own. We only think we're strong until a trial comes that break us. You have been shaped more.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. That spoke to me, and I love it. Yeah.
I mean, trauma is something that everyone experiences, so it's
Yeah.
it's a way to take something that is negative and turn it into a positive. The lessons learned from it. Not only that, but the blessings that the Lord has bestowed on you. It touches everything in that video.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it takes time to really, I think, at least for myself, to understand that message, because there was plenty of times where, man, if I was going through something, I was just thinking like the exact opposite of what anyone might think of all of us sitting here. What I mean by that is, I've had plenty of times in my life where I was like, if there was a God, then why would he put me, through this? Why am I dealing with this? Or yada, yada, yada. And we can definitely dive more into that in future episodes. But if you're out there and you need to hear that message, I just wanted to share it because there's probably someone listening that needed to hear that. I firmly believe if I go through anything now, I make it pay me. It's going to pay me in experience. I'm going to learn something from it, and I'm going to come out of it better. I will never go through anything without having it pay me in experience.
100%. If I could add to you, definitely be vulnerable with the audience. That was a tough one for me for a long time too, trying to understand that, having that, why does this keep happening? And never looking really for the lesson in it. It was more of what's happening to me instead of what's happening for me, what's happening in me, that helped me be a better person to essentially even be able to run through some of those, because I've been there before, right? I know how to deal with it. I know how to navigate. Now I can help uplift somebody else because I went through it. So turning that negative situation into a positive to be able to help the next person. Mentorship, that's not having great.
Are we freezing up a little bit?
Marcus, because he's one of those faithful people who calls out of you who you are, who God says you are, then to call you out for what you're doing. And I hope the audience can make that distinction. I talked to my mom today, and we were talking about having a message and talking and not worrying about what the audience thinks about what you're saying. And I had to really listen to her too. I still learn from my mama, even though I'm a grown man, make my own decisions. I still learn a lot from my mama. And when she said that to me, I said, you know what? And she said one little thing. She said, baby, he who have ears to hear, let him hear. If the Lord said that, that means the same thing for the rest of us too. I said, mama, I'm gonna be more becoming of who I'm designed to be. And I wanted to share this story like that because there's someone else also who understands what I'm saying, who also can relate. And I want to say, keep on going, take the lessons from that, from whatever you're going through, and then help someone else get through it too. Pay it forward some way, right? And I'll end it there, bro. I'll go on a whole soap opera, but I just wanted to share that.
Just to add to what Aaron said, another shout out to Marcus. Marcus is always asking me, who is Mark and what is Mark's purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I love that.
Me too.
That's great. And you know what? If you guys listening, the next episode, I know we're talking about, hey, we're going to hit on this wealth quest and kind of just explain and maybe, talk to you guys about that. But it's definitely, I think it's time to switch gears a little bit and get into the faith a little bit, right? Have some conversations on it. Um, so we can share with you guys, talk, right? The faith, the mental health, all that. So when you guys come back next week, we'll touch a little bit on, you know, what we talked about here is in, hey, if cash value is not right for you, then maybe the annuity, especially for someone on more of a budget, right? On less that they have to do now, but they still want to start preparing for that future. So let's hit that, and then and let's hit some of these topics on the faith side, because hey, after all, that is the first word you see in the podcast, right? It's faith, money, mental health. I don't want you guys thinking that we're not going to touch on it. It's coming, and it's probably coming in hot. In fact, afterwards, they're going to be like, I think not only is Jesus real, I think quite frankly, I think he was a guest on the show. And if you just said he's a guest and you believe that, you're wrong. We're quite frankly, we're his guests. We're his guests all the time, and we're just gonna do great things. Great things.
Brian, love it, bro.
I love that.
Me
I
too.
love that impression. That impression's so great.
we're gonna have fun. Yeah, guys, I love it. It's a second one, and if you guys listening, I was seeing my computer. I'm getting. I think it probably recorded most of it fine. There might be a couple little hiccups here and there. So if there's any choppiness, it's probably not your Wi-Fi. It might just be a certain part of it here. So I'll go back in and I'll tweak that to make sure it's not having those issues in the next recording. There's a little bit of lag here and there, but hopefully the recording is good and there's nothing to worry about there. So you guys could be okay. And before we close out here, is there anything that you guys want to talk about, or maybe that I didn't mention now that you also want us to talk about on the next episode?
Oh, the next episode.
For now.
Go ahead, Mark. Did you have something? I'll follow you.
I don't really have anything to say about the next episode, but I did want to say thank you to everyone that has listened to the podcast, the first episode, and thank you to everyone that has given us feedback as well. We did get, quite a bit of feedback from it. So I just wanted to say we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and also give us your
I love that. I love that. What were you going to say, Aaron?
Yeah, thank you, B. You caught me, bro. You caught me. Yeah, I actually I had a thought. If they want to ask any questions in the chat or in the comment section, I will be more than happy to share some insight with them, just to have some engagement there in the comments, right? They have questions and they don't really know how to get to us fully yet. The comment section is a great area, but I also want to piggyback Mark to say thank you to everybody. We did hear a lot of good feedback, and it was definitely inspiring. We're going to definitely just improve and improve and improve. But we really want to thank you for your support, taking the time out to comment and definitely like, and those who subscribed. That was really.
Yeah, absolutely. If you I like what you're saying, Aaron. If you guys, the comments, right? If there's topics you want to hear us talk about, like Aaron's saying, put them in. We start seeing comments come in, and there's plenty of people on YouTube that do that, right? And they've made quite a good following, or just a show, just by engaging with the audience like that, and not for that reason, but like, if there's things you want to know about, that's also why we're doing what we're doing. We want to get you that education. So instead of us sitting here being like, what should we do for the next one? I don't know, let's talk about this one. But if you guys are like, I want to learn about this, we're like, user 74979 says they need to know about this. So let's hit that next. So I'm all there for it. And we got 3 emails last week, Aaron. So I just wanted to address this to the people that were listening. Aaron is Aaron. I don't know why you guys keep thinking Will Smith is a host on this show. I'm not sure where that came from. Quite frankly, it's rude. That's rude. His name's Aaron. It's not Will Smith. Yeah.
That's too funny.
I just want to make sure we address that. Yeah, guys, it was fun. It was good. It was good to do another one, just chatting with you guys for, it says, an hour and 15 minutes or so here. If you guys got nothing else, I'm gonna close it out how we normally close it out, and we're just gonna hit the music.
Yeah, I'm good.
Music away. Everyone, thanks for listening. Hit the comments and say, I want to know about this, want to know about that. Will Smith did great. Why does that white guy on the corner look really fuzzy? He should probably get a new camera. His camera's fighting for his life over there. Yeah, guys. No, thanks. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you guys next time.
God bless you guys.
God bless.
Welcome to our journey. We're breaking down the walls. Faith leads the way while the catch softly calls. Mental health's the key. Let's unlock what we feel. Together we rise. This community's real. Join the conversation. Let your voice be heard. Let's talk it right. Building up our spirits will shine so bright. Gather all together in this space we embrace. Love, knowledge, and growth. Let's make it our place. In a world full of noise, we'll find the rhythm and beat. Talking faith and finances. Let's dance to our own street. Empowering each other. It's a beautiful art. From struggles to strength, we're healing the heart. Grab your cup of coffee. It's time to unwind. Let's talk it right. Building up our spirit.